Welcome to Life Lafter Divorce Podcast, episode 79. I am your host, Leanne Linsky.
And I'm the boyfriend.
Welcome back to another wonderful week of divorce. Woohoo!
They keep rolling on. The calendar keeps moving.
Yeah. While you're out there tuning in, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. And hey, if you're out there doing that, why not stop at the website at lifelafterdivorce.com. We have a great online store filled with self-care products like soaps and candles, because who doesn't need a little fun in the tub?
Or at least smelling better when you're out.
That's right. We appreciate that. And also, hey, those soaps and candles are handcrafted here in Long Beach, by the way. They're all natural. They have essential oils, which are rockin'. They smell so good. And even if you have skin conditions, so I've been told, they work well.
Yeah, because there's not this...
There's no chemicals in them.
Yeah, there's no chemicals. There's nothing bad in there. It's just...
Yeah.
All natural, and it works. They're amazing. I enjoy them.
Yeah, even people that we know with sensitive skin can use them. So that's an upside. And they're really fun. So if you need a little chuckle in the tub, this is it, because they're all divorce themed and named especially for you guys. That's what we do for you. Oh, and speaking of which, I had set up a personal challenge for myself of doing 48 coachings, free, did I say free? Coaching sessions in 48 days for one of my birthdays.
I wonder which one that one is.
21. I am 21. And so I had set up this personal challenge for myself because I want to get out there, talk to people, have some great life-changing conversations. And I, in the midst of all of the things that are going on, I kind of didn't make my personal challenge. And I'm bummed about that because my focus shifted with the move coming and all of that kind of stuff. So I wanted to extend that out to our listeners and say, hey, if you've been thinking about it, considering it, like, should I not, just do it. Go to our website at lifelafterdivorce.com, click on life coaching, and right there at the top of the page, schedule your free session with me. And let's talk. Let's do this. The year is more than half over.
Yeah.
Already. So let's make the rest of this year just awesome as possible and kick it into high gear. So that's what I'm thinking.
I think you should sign up. They're amazing, and I've seen the outcomes of it. So it looks great. People have been excited and happy for this. So sign up, do a free coaching session.
Yeah, a free coaching session, one per person. So I look forward to talking to you guys. And look forward to talking to you today, boyfriend, about this week's guest. Because this is an incredible story that she shared with us this week. Yes,
it was. It got a little heavy at times, but there's a lot of really good information in her story and her journey.
Yeah. She has given me a new perspective on things and relationships and
life and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So today our guest is Kirsten Watson. She's a Long Beach native. She's been married and divorced twice and is on her third marriage and has found a super happy and healthy relationship. So this is actually a two-parter. So this first part, she's going to share with us from the beginning of her story. We're going to follow her through and then make sure that you tune in next episode to find out what happens next. So without further ado, Miss Kirsten Watson. Kirsten, welcome to Life Lafter Divorce Podcast.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. So glad you are here. I'm excited to talk to you because just from the little bit I already know, you've been married and divorced twice and are on your third marriage.
Yep, that's correct.
This is going to be a lot to unpack today in this episode, and I'm looking forward to getting started. So I guess the best place maybe to start is the beginning.
Well, the beginning would be a very young beginning because I met my first husband when I was 15. Wow. And by the time I was 16, I moved in with him and married him. before my 17th birthday, a couple months before my 17th birthday.
Holy cow.
Parents consented to the marriage. Well, at least my father did, and he was my legal guardian at the time, so he gave me permission to marry him. I call him the mama's boy because he came from a family where his mom and dad were always together his whole life. He never wanted for anything. He was never told no because they could, and I get it, like that's fine. But it became an issue for us because once we had to start paying our own way, doing things as adults, and he was a narcissist, a straight narcissist. He had completely cut me off from every friend I had. I wasn't allowed to talk to guys. Only friends I had was at work. I worked full time. By the time I was 18, I had our son, who honestly, I didn't want to have any children at the time. I was terrified, but my husband insisted, so it wasn't long before I was pregnant. We lasted about 5 years, but once I got pregnant, the script had flipped. I had become more of just someone he could control and abuse than anything verbally. He was really verbally abusive. He'd like break my cell phones in half. He was a real piece of shit. I mean, towards me, he's a good dad. He's been a good father. My son's 15 now. He'll be 16 in October, but he's a really good dad. I left him. It was a very good decision. It got violent the day I left, but it just sealed the deal for me because when I told him I was leaving, he went totally nutso and beat me up a bit in front of our toddler. So sorry if you thought we could have worked it out after I told you I was leaving. You sure can't now. So
right.
That's marriage number one in a nutshell.
Wow. Okay. So let's go. Can we go back a little bit? I'm curious. Like, where did you grow up? What state were you living in?
I grew up in Long Beach, California, my whole friggin' life, the whole time, except for maybe that 5-year gap where I was married to my first husband. We lived in Lakewood, which isn't far. It's just a hop and a jump.
Yep, right down the street.
So I had it very tough growing up. I raised my father and my brother, my older brother and my father, pretty much as a young child, because my mother pretty much dipped out on us when we were little. She was in the picture, but she wasn't really around. My dad tried to raise us the best he could, and he didn't do the greatest job as far as protecting us went, or at least me. I don't know what happened to my brother, if anything happened to him. Hopefully nothing. I mean, he claims nothing happened to him. I hope not.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I hit high school, I had just so much trouble following me, and I just created so much chaos in my life that I had to drop out of school, get a job, and then I met my husband, my first one.
And that was all at the age of 15. Mm-hmm. And so, did your parents actually divorce?
Actually, my parents legally didn't divorce until I was like 15 or 16. But they were married the whole time I was small. But they got married when my mother found out she was pregnant with me, which was totally not what she wanted, me or the wedding. Got it. She's a real piece of work. I'm sure she'll come up again in conversation.
Okay. So yeah, you grew up really quick. Then it sounds like. I mean, you kind of had
a choice. It was fight or flight, man.
Right. So you're 15 and you're already dropped out of school and you're working. Where are you working, and how did you meet your first husband?
Well, my first husband, also, shame on him, was 9 years older than me at the time, or is 9 years older than me. So he was 24. So he was a grown ass man acting like a fool. I met him through one of my best friends from elementary school. Her name's Myra. We're still good friends. He was a family friend of theirs because we were all teenagers at the time. She had an older sister who was 21, I think, at the time, or 22. And he was her friend. And we were helping them all move. That's how we met. I was working at Wiener Schnitzel and I was babysitting on the side. So I had 2 jobs.
You were.
And I was supporting because I smoke. And I've smoked since I was young. So my mom told me, like, if you're not going to go to fucking school, you're going to get a job and pay for your own goddamn habits. I said, well, fine by me. So I went and got a job.
Right. So you did. Okay. So
yeah, finally, when I was 18 or 19 and I had a baby, I decided that maybe I should go get a GED. So I finally did do that.
Right. So before you did that, so at 15, you married, you met this guy, right? What do we want to call your first husband?
Mama's boy.
Mama's boy. So you met Mama's boy. I love it. And
he's still a fucking mama's boy. Girl, the man didn't work for 10 years. Took care of our child. Great. But the man didn't work for 10 years. Mom still pays his way, please.
Oh, my goodness.
Still a mama's boy at 40. Oh, God, I'm old. Don't tell anyone.
You're young.
44. He's 44.
So you met him. Obviously, at the time, though, you found something attractive. What was attractive about him?
Honestly, our relationship was entirely based on sex at first.
Okay.
Entirely. It was all sex-based. Because we would just, like, go to parties and go hang out. And, we were just having sex all the time.
Yeah,
and then,
you were young.
I don't know, he started to like me, I guess, because after a few months, he's like, I really dig you. Like, let's go do stuff. So we started, like, really doing stuff. And we would go camping. I mean, he was really fun. He took me out of state. He took me to a lot of places. We had a good time when he wasn't being an abusive jerk-off. But that was all before I got pregnant.
Okay, so before you got pregnant, he was being good to you.
Yeah, for the first year and a half or so, he was really good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he was abusive, kind of, sort of, like, controlling. But, I mean, every guy's kind of controlling. There's no way around it. It's just about how you handle it or how you approach the situation. And communication is definitely key.
Yeah. Well, how did you...
Being as young as I was, I just didn't know the rules.
Got it. Okay. So there was maybe some naiveness.
A lot of naiveness. And I was young. I didn't know. And he knew what he was doing. Right. I was easy to manipulate. And I had been through a terrible life. So anyone being nice to me was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not used to this, but I like it.
Right.
So he...
Okay, so then you dated for like a year and a half, and then you got married?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was almost 17, we decided we got married. And then, and honestly, on my wedding day, my mom's piece of shit husband at the time bet me $1,000 I'd be pregnant before I could hit 18. Guess who won that bet on their 18th birthday, baby? Me. What? $1,000 in my pocket. A month later, I was pregnant.
Oh my goodness! Did he? So he did pay up. He held his end of the bargain.
I made my mother make him pay me because she tried to tell me that she wasn't going to pay me because she had just went to Vegas. I said, "Bitch, you went to Vegas, then you got the money to pay me. If you had money to blow in Vegas, you got money to pay your girl."
Wow. So
and then she was hot, man. She's still mad about that shit. 15 years.
Probably even madder when you got pregnant the next month, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, like her husband at the time was like, she was already pregnant. I said, do the math, you moron. I give birth in October. Count 10 months back from October. That's January. Bitch, my birthday's December. 1 month later.
Wow. Okay. So, so what did you do with that money? Anything fun?
Actually, no, the controlling husband took most of it. I literally got a pair of DVS blue and white tennis shoes and I think a new purse. And the rest he blew on a rifle.
Oh, my gosh.
He's way into guns, so he would make me work 40, 50 hours plus a week and then he'd blow my paychecks.
Really? Okay. So...
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of controlling and things involved in Mama's boy there.
So you were living with them. You had gotten married. Did you have a small wedding, family there? What was that like?
We went to Vegas. It was a mistake. Everything about it was a bad omen. I just was too stupid to see that.
Yeah.
Because I gave him some money and I got like this really cute flowery like gray dress. It was really pretty. And I told him, go pick something nice for yourself. Well, I should have known when he came in a Nike hoodie sweater that cost him $80. And I was like, you spent $80 on a sweater? A hoodie to marry me in? Are you fucking kidding me? I didn't say anything because I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's just dumb. I don't want to. But okay, right? So there's bad omen number one. My dad is so drunk at our wedding that when they tell him to raise his right hand to have her do our thing, he raises his left. And they're like, other right, dude. And we're thinking they're not going to let us get married because this guy's so drunk he can't even consent to sign me over. It was just all these bad things. It was just crazy.
Wow.
But it was in Vegas.
So I have to ask, what chapel in Vegas?
It was actually straight up at the courthouse.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was at the courthouse at just the piece or whatever it is there.
Okay.
Yeah. Wedding number 2 was in Vegas. See, Vegas is a bad omen.
Oh, I had both my weddings there too. I totally hear you.
Second one was like way cuter. It was actually at a chapel and things like that. But yeah, I mean,
well, Well, on wedding number 1, so you got married in Vegas. He was already being controlling, but because of
not to an extent that I felt concerned, because I was happy with him. He was straight edge too. I was a lot of drugs when I was young, and he wasn't into that. So when we got together, I quit everything except cigarettes.
Okay. All right. So
it was a lot of good things going on, I thought, too. That's why it was blinding me, I think.
Right. So it sounds like there was a responsibility that came with it. Like, yeah. Like a little bit of adulting.
Well, yeah. And I had never had like adulting because I was still a kid.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. So Mama's boy and me, like he even told me recently he'd still take me back. He doesn't care. I don't understand that. Because we have to stay civil because we have a kid. But, I mean, every year on his birthday, you ask him for a blowjob. It's like, you're a fucking jerk. It's coming up this next month, too. And I'm like, oh, God, am I going to get that fucking lovely yearly phone call? It's my birthday. You can give me a blowjob or something? It's like, dude, I haven't fucked with you in 16 years. What makes you think I'm just going to randomly be like, sure, dude, for your birthday?
Well, he gets an A for persistence, right?
A for effort, you big idiot. Yeah. But,
okay. So what happened after you got pregnant? Is this a turning point for you?
It was, because when I found out I was pregnant, first of all, I was devastated because I was scared shitless. Because first of all, I didn't think it was going to happen.
Right.
I guess it was some kind of weird denial. At least not that fucking fast. It was literally a month I was off birth control, and it was like, boom, I found I was pregnant a couple months later, and I was like, holy shit. And after about 3 days of laying in bed exhausted, because pregnancy takes it out of you too.
Yeah.
I had come to grips with that was the reality I was in, and there was nothing I could do to take. I can't take it back, and I would never ever have an abortion or anything like that, and I just couldn't. So my focus became my pregnancy and our baby, but I couldn't get him to read the daddy books, the baby books with me. I got him to go to Lamaze with me, which was appreciated, but it was like pulling teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell that he no longer saw me as attractive. He wasn't attracted to me anymore, especially while I was pregnant, because it was just like I was the vessel that held his baby, which is really hard for me because I don't know if you have any children, but being pregnant at certain points of your pregnancy, you're so fucking horny you can't see straight.
Wow. No, I've never had kids, or I've never been pregnant.
After you pass the first trimester, it's fucking on. And once you start to show, which I'm a small person, at the time I was only 135 pounds, which is what about now. I finally got back to it. Finally, shit.
Takes a while. Oh
man, I got up there. I was up to 187. I'm only 5'4".
Wow. Yeah. Well, pregnancy changes everything, right?
No, that wasn't pregnancy that did that. That was psych meds.
Okay.
No, psych meds.
Okay.
I was on high doses of psych meds for a long time, made me really fat.
Did that happen after your pregnancy?
Yeah. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 23. It took them a long time to figure it out. And then they were dabbling on medications with me for years over the last decade or so. And it made me gain 75 pounds.
Holy
80
cow.
pounds. And then I just, for the last decade, have been kind of floating through life on this, like, no emotional tip. Or I go crazy, go off meds, and cause all this chaos. So I had to find a middle ground, which my new husband, my brilliant, wonderful new husband, moving, cutting out almost every single med except for one on a low dose, trying to find things to keep myself busy and cope, talk to my husband when I'm having a problem. He walks me through it, helps me get through it. He's very understanding, he has a lot of compassion. He's very sweet.
Wow.
But he's very patient.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like, okay, I have so many questions for you now. So
I'm just bringing up more.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like after your first few days of pregnancy and you're like, no, this is the way it is. I'm going to see this through and make this work. And so you gave up everything while you went through your pregnancy to be healthy, right? And then
I wasn't doing anything before that because I had already been clean for over a year and a half.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So, I smoked cigarettes, but I had quit on my birthday because I knew that I was my husband took the birth control, so I knew I was was afraid I was going to get pregnant, so I didn't smoke or anything, actually.
He took the birth control? Yeah.
Yeah, he took it. He took it and said, you're 18 now, and you don't need this. We're going to have a baby. And he threw it in he got rid of it while I was at work.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I was kind of like forced pregnancy kind of in a sense, but I honestly was in denial.
Yeah. So what happened, like, so you mentioned during the pregnancy and everything, like he wasn't looking at you the same way and your body started
Like
changing.
when my body changed and I was really starting to show when I was about 5 months along, I got on all these vitamins and I was eating good. And I took really good care of myself while I was pregnant. I worked full time until 2 days before I delivered. I had a good pregnancy. Like, I didn't really get sick or anything. Nothing bad happened to me. I had a really good experience with all that. And honestly, I gave birth alone, like, by the end of it, because he couldn't take it.
Really?
So he tapped out and left me in there alone.
Where did he leave you? In the hospital?
Yeah, we were in the hospital. I was pushing and he was like, I can't do this. And then I was like, get the fuck out then. I got a baby to have. I can't have you in here with that. Get out. So I kicked him out of my room.
Where did he go? Did he stay outside? Did he stay at the hospital?
Yeah, he went into the lobby with everybody else.
Okay. Oh, wow.
He didn't like ditch me, but he ditched me.
Right.
And then like I was trying to convince him to cut the cord and stuff, and he was like, no. He was like freaking out. It was crazy. But after I got pregnant, I could see that he didn't really look at me the same, and it felt really shitty to be unattractive. And then I don't know, like after he was born, like we both worked, and the night feedings got really hard. And we were living with his parents at the time, and she would like watch my son in the morning so I could sleep 2 more hours because I would do all the night feedings, and I worked full time also because if I tried to get him to do it, he'd wake up and scream at me. So
oh, geez.
I quit asking.
Right. So then how long did this go on?
Well, the whole time. He didn't. If I came home, like we stayed with his parents, which doesn't make any sense. When I'd go to work, his mom would watch him, and then he would come home, and he'd be home for about 4 hours with him until I got home. Well, my son would be sitting in the same piss diaper that his mom had changed him last, and he'd be sitting in like an exo saucer while he's watching TV and ignoring him. So I got tired of that shit too. And then our son did not watch TV until he was like 18 months old. He would not watch cartoons, nothing. He was not interested.
Really?
Finally, we got our own place because I told him, I said, I can't do this anymore. We're going to break up, or we need to move out of here and get our own shit, our own life, our own shit. We need to stop staying with your parents. We've been here for 4 years. This is ridiculous. We have a child. And right. I was already at my wit's end. I just didn't know what else to do. So we got our own place in Huntington Beach. Within a month, I left him. I mean, he had people watching me at work, for Christ's sake. He couldn't even call my job. He wasn't even allowed to go to my work. He wasn't allowed to call. They were going to file harassment charges on him because he was being crazy. Oh, God. It got ugly.
So after you moved, he started doing that? Or was he doing that before you moved?
Well, he had people watching me and shit before we moved. I just didn't know until after.
Oh, wow. And
he would call me at work and start fights. He would accuse me of cheating all the time. I'm like, when do I have time to do all this cheating? I go to work and I come home.
Right.
What are you talking about? Well, Chris Paul saw you in the back of the deli smoking with some so-and-so. And it's like, that's my coworker. And wait, would you like me to smoke inside the restaurant? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Right. So you found out he had people watching you. He was harassing you. Your work was getting upset with him?
Yeah, to the point where he wasn't allowed to call anymore.
Right. So, and then after a month that you guys had moved in together, you ended up moving out. Where did you go? What? What
happened is I was really, really scared because I wanted to leave him and I couldn't take it anymore. So I went and talked to an old friend of mine. He was my teacher from junior high. We stayed friends. I still speak with him. His name's Mr. Benson. He's a great teacher, and that's his real name. So, oh well. But he's really great. We stayed in contact over the years. We lost contact for about 10, and I just started reconnecting with him recently. But he told me, we had a good long talk along the Bolsa Chica wetlands, and he's like, Kirsten, I've known you since you were young, and you're an adult now. You're a woman. You have a child. You need to make a good decision for your baby and yourself. And I said, you're right. And I'm really, really, really unhappy. He's literally just ripping my soul out of my body. I can't take this anymore. So I went home to leave him, and I had 57 missed calls in a 2-hour period on my phone. So I already knew I was in for it when I came in the door. And I calmly just told him I was going to leave him. Well, my calmness, he didn't really appreciate, because that made him so mad. He started ripping the pole out the closet, dumped all my stuff in a pile in the room, started throwing all my jewelry boxes on top of the pile. Take your shit, get the fuck out, bitch. Just going off on me. Finally, I was staying calm, so I guess it was really making him worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, cause I was scared. So he picked me up on my neck, kind of slammed me up against the wall, headbutted me, was like screaming in my face. All this in front of our 18-month-old kid. And now my son's hysterical. And I'm like, I'm leaving. And he ripped my purse off and threw my cell phone through the wall. And I had no shoes on, a broken purse. Finally, the neighbors got involved because they could hear me screaming. And then they're like, they knew we had a kid. So like, we don't care if you guys kill each other. Give us the baby. We've already called the cops. Like, cops are coming. And right before they had knocked on the door, he was coming to hit me, like punch me, full swing.
God.
Luckily, the door stopped him because they started banging on the door. Well, I got a hold of my son by then because they were distracting him at the door. So I got my son in my arms, and he had already jerked him out of my hands once and removed him from my possession. So I was afraid he was going to hurt him. But now I had my arms completely wrapped around him, and I'm telling them, don't let him close the door. Let me out of here. So he did let me out with the baby. The cops came, and then they were asking me, did he hit me? And I said no, because I didn't want him to go to jail. But I go, just let me grab some stuff, and I grabbed some clothes for him and some diapers. I didn't even have shoes. I didn't have a phone. I had a car. Well, that's all I had, and nothing. So I skipped out, went to Victorville to go stay with my pop for a couple days till things cooled off.
Mm-hmm.
And me and the babe took off to Victorville. And after a couple days of him not having any contact with me, and I had his child, like, I felt like I was wrong. So after about the second day I was at my dad's, I called him and I said, and he was very devastated at this point. I mean, I think his anger just got the best of him, and it was ugly. And after a couple more days, I did come back to Huntington, and I let him be with his son, and I stayed at my friend Mike, actually, who was my second husband, for 13 years.
Wow. Okay.
We were friends for 2 years. I met him when I was pregnant with my son. He actually dated my best friend for about a year. And then we were friends, and he was letting me stay over there, and we've always been good friends. So we started dating after a while, and he proposed to me 4 times before I finally said yes, because I really didn't want to get married.
What made you change your mind?
Yeah, his final attempt to ask me was really hard to say no to. It was really hard. And I knew he was a good man, and he's still a good man. It's just not, I guess I was broken and not in a good place. And I was with him because I knew he would never hurt me. I knew he would never control me. But I don't think I was ever in love with him, if that makes sense. And I know it's a harsh thing to say, but I'm willing to own that, and I'm willing to say that, because I really don't think I was in love with him. I love him. I still love him. He's a great man, and he helped me raise my child without any well, he was jealous of my child when my child was a toddler, because toddlers want your attention 24/7, and so does your new boyfriend.
Yeah. Right.
So, but I mean, he always treated my son like his own. He still talks about my son like it's his own, and we've been divorced. So,
wow.
But yeah, we were married for 15 years, but I was going through being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was dealing with being overly medicated, not getting proper treatment, not getting the proper system or support I needed at home. He allowed doctors to over-medicate me to the point where I was a fucking zombie. And anybody with that is not cool with me.
Right.
Emotionally empty. Is that the kind of wife you want? Some fucking person who sits on the couch and just stares at TV all day and with their mouth wide open, like not knowing the lights on, but nobody's home. Lights on, no one's home. And he told me, I asked him, because I said, how could you do that to me? He goes, Kirsten, consider the alternative I had to deal with. You were fucking crazy. And I was like, yeah, I was. But he didn't get involved with my illness and my treatment the way my husband now does.
Big difference.
My husband asks me every day, did you take your meds last night? Because I have an alarm every day that goes off to take my one medication I take at night. And I talk to my best friend because I always make sure she takes hers too, because she's also bipolar.
Right.
So we have a system and then when I'm moody, he'll tell me, like, are you all right? Because you seem a little off. You're really quiet today. He calls me out, and so I can recognize my own symptoms. And when I feel it myself, I tell him, because it's like, I don't want him to think that he did something.
Right.
I'm just in a mood. Sometimes I'm just in a mood because I'm just in a mood. It's not really anybody's fault. Sometimes I'm just angry.
It sounds
Sometimes
like
I just want to break shit. And it's like, nothing set me off. I just woke up that way, and I'm just like, I'm having an angry day. Some days I wake up and I cry all day. Good stuff, bad stuff, everything makes me cry. It's a hit or miss. So my illness is very hard to deal with.
Yeah. Well, okay. So during it's in your second marriage, when your husband was, you were overly medicated, right? And so as years passed, because you were with him for a really long time.
I was with him for 15 years. Yeah.
So what was
roughly.
How did that end up ending? What were the circumstances?
Sadly, I will tell you, it leads into the worst relationship I've ever been in, but the most, other than my husband now at that point, I don't think I had ever been in love with anybody. I'm willing to sacrifice my happiness, my choices, my whatever, because I am a very selfish person, I will admit. I do things what I want to do when I want to do it, and no one's going to tell me I can't, and that's just the kind of person I am. And I don't mean to be that way to hurt people, but sometimes it does. And when I rekindled with my friend from junior high school, we'll call him the biggest narcissist, because we rekindled and he had nothing. He was a street kid. When we were kids, he's still a street kid as a grown up.
And this guy, the biggest narcissist, well, let's call him Nick. Nick, right? That's not Nick. Okay. So Nick, this guy from junior high, you were never married to him.
No, we rekindled our friendship.
Okay.
After 15 years of not speaking with each other. And
this is during your second marriage.
This is during my second marriage.
Okay.
We had just right before our 10th anniversary, our 9th anniversary being married. I think it was just before our 9th. I had been hanging out with him with Nick for about a year and a half, just randomly have a couple drinks here and there. We smoked a lot of pot, hung out, just having fun like we did when we were kids, always. Well, I remember husband number 2, we can call him by his name, that's Mike. Mike told me one day, he goes, I really don't like the way that Nick looks at you. I said, what? What are you talking about? He goes, he has the look when he looks at you, and I don't really care for it. And I realized that I was in love with him. And I was like, it's not the way that he looks at me, it's the way I look at him. Because the narcissist was always trying to make a point to be kind of mean to me, like kids pick on each other when they're kids. Because he didn't want me to like him, I guess, that way. He didn't want me to feel romantic feelings for him, but it was too late. And when I realized this, I had to do something about it because it wasn't fair to Mike. And so I told Mike that, I realized that I loved him, but I don't think I was in love with him, and I don't think it's fair that I've drug it out as long as I had. And I just didn't know, though. It wasn't, I didn't do it on purpose. I love him. It was never a question of that. It was just that in-love feeling. I had never experienced it before. And I finally did, and it made me realize that the whole time I'd been married to Mike, that it wasn't real. And that hurt. But I couldn't let it go on anymore, so... Plus, Mike would do things on purpose to get me all fired up and, use my bipolar disorder to manipulate me and fuck with me because he was miserable. I don't know. He had a drug problem, too. So... And I couldn't compete with the pills. I just couldn't.
Right.
I still can't.
Yeah.
I can't even. He's using more than he was before. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. Nobody can compete with pills or alcohol.
And also, Mike never wanted to grow and thrive and do better with his life. He just wanted to stay stuck in miserable, shit-paying jobs with a habit that was costing $100 a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and when I started to realize, I put my friend Nick on the side and I told him, like, because he was like, one day we were walking and he told me, he's like, you know, Kirsten, I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
Nick told you this?
Fuck. Yeah.
Oh.
And I told him, I was like, it just slipped out and I was like, well, I'm in love with you. And I was like, oh, that was so stupid. But that's when I was like really aware of it. And I was like, oh God, I have to do something. So one day I woke up and I was off medication, like completely. I had went completely because I couldn't get my head clear. And when you're taking a lot of psych meds, it fogs your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to get a better perspective. So I went off medication and it went south for me. I ended up in the mental institution for a week.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't get a break from Mike either because he wouldn't stop coming. At every visiting hour, he insisted on seeing me. That's when I knew for sure. Like, I came home and after the week and got back on medication enough to calm down enough to make my move. And I told him what happened and that it was over. And it was devastating for him. And that's why it was like, wow.
Wow. And now, when he told you this, his reaction was much different than your first husband's.
He cried a lot.
Yeah.
Because he really does love me, and it really hurt him. And it still does, because I talk to him all the time, and he's still just very hurt. I know. It's like, fuck. But I was like, dude, would you rather I have just stayed with you and been not in love with you? Would that have been happy for you to see me that way? I said, because I can't believe you could live that way. But maybe you could, because when I was medicated, you could live that way. Just knowing that you had me was good enough. He didn't care what the circumstances were. And that's not cool.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody's property. I want someone to be my partner, my companion, not be owned by them.
Mm-hmm.
And most guys only see me as their property. And that's where, and then I started seeing Nick like in a relationship way after we had split, me and Mike split. And honestly, the first 6 months of the relationship was the happiest I had ever been at that point in my entire life with a partner. So by the 4th of July, it took a big turn, a big, big turn. He broke my heart, and I was so in love with him that I couldn't break up with him, and I just let the abuse get worse and worse and more frequent and more frequent.
And this was Nick the narcissist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for the first 6 months, everything was really great and the best you had up in, at that point. And then he became abusive around the 4th of July.
Yeah, it was about 8 months later because we started seeing each other in September. By July 4th, that's when he followed me up and down the streets of Long Beach, degrading me, gaslighting me, embarrassing me, belittling me, making me cry down the street, punching my walls, sleeping in the closet, drunk. And he drank like almost every day, him and his stupid, immature fucking friends. And I put up with it for a time. I was afraid of him.
Yeah.
Not that he would hit me, because he never put his hands on me. He might have pushed me out of his way once, but his verbal attack was by far the meanest and cruelest I've ever experienced. And I was raped at knife point, okay? So that kind of tell you something when I was 13. Okay, and I'm telling you, this guy's arsenal was way harsher than that rapist.
Yeah. Yeah, this destroys your soul.
Well, I had loved him so much, and I couldn't believe he was treating me like that. I'd never, ever given him a reason to.
What, you know, being in that place, and I can hear all of that pain in your voice right now. I mean, that's something that changes you forever. What was it that changed in you that you could leave him? What was that point?
Because I've fought for my life this whole time with everything else I've been through. And I thought that I had no worth left. And me and Wes, my husband now, have been friends for 3 years. We met through my ex-boyfriend, Nick, there. And it was all just friendly conversation. There was no romantic or anything going on. But he did tell me that I was worth more than I was getting, and I didn't deserve to be treated like that. Just from a friendly point of view.
Right.
Because he knew Nick for a long time too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my group. I wasn't allowed to hang out with anybody but his friends. I wasn't even really allowed to participate that often with our friendly outing. I usually just sat there quietly and listened to music or whatever, but I didn't really get involved with their little maleness. Right. Because I would always be accused of flirting or something. So I just stopped talking. It became this place I didn't want to be no more. But I knew that I had been through so much and I had survived before, and I wasn't going to let my love for him cloud my judgment anymore, to know that I deserve better. Right. So I told him that he was living with me at the time in October. And I told him that I didn't want to be his girlfriend anymore, that he needed to focus on himself because he had lost his job and I was supporting him on my job. And I told him, like, I'll still help you. You can still stay here until you find some way to get on your feet and everything. Because I wasn't going out trying to find a relationship or anything. I just didn't want to be his girlfriend anymore because I didn't want any more of that shit happening. But it continuously got worse. One night he got in a fight with his friends or whatever. They were out. And he came home and said he was leaving me. So he took some of his stuff and he left. Well, by 5 o'clock in the morning, it had rained. And he busted in my door, ripping my blankets off in the dark, telling me what a fucking bitch I am, making him sleep on the street. It rained on his head. And then he wouldn't leave. And I knew it wasn't going to be that easy.
So stay tuned for our next episode where Kirsten shares the rest of her journey and where she is today, giving us a whole new perspective on our relationships.